Many young football players dream of making the pros and playing the game they love for a living. Kinsale Philip was once in that very position and now finds himself preparing for the CFL Invitational Combine to make his dreams become a reality. Philip has lived and breathed the game since he was 7 years old. Developing in the New Westminster High X football program, he excelled at every level, including the high school ranks, where Philip led the High X to back-to-back championship appearances, winning it all in the 2017 season. Coming out of high school, Philip had plenty of offers to play at the next level on both sides of the football.
I was mainly focused on quarterback. I felt that I liked that position. I liked making decisions. I liked playing offense, like scoring touchdowns, of course, like holding the ball and hitting people rather than like having to make tackles and stuff like that. But I did really have a strong suit on defense. I think that's where I more like naturally excelled because a lot of people saw me like that was more like my body type was to play defense. So I was a little bit undersized at quarterback, but regardless, I was working with JC Boyce as a quarterback coach, like kind of like from the beginning. He was like working with me on just mechanic. But basically, I would play both sides of the ball all throughout high school. Barely came off the field. And it was kind of just like two different mindsets because I knew that more of the American schools that had interest were interested in me playing defense. And even my biggest offer, which was like SFU at the time, was offering me on defense as well. So there's a lot of motivation to do that. But all my youth sports offers were at quarterback. A lot of like deep threat potential because that's what we were running. A lot of play action, a lot of verticals, showing that I can make accurate passes downfield, that I could throw a lot of touchdowns and whatnot, even having a high completion percentage with like not that many attempts. So all the Canadian schools were offering me a quarterback, but there was always like a reserves kind of part where in the back of their mind, they're like, if it doesn't work out at quarterback, that he could play defense for us because it was kind of like a win-win situation for them.
Philip weighed his options and made his commitment to the University of Toronto to play quarterback. After sitting and learning for 2 years, Philip finally got his chance to show his stuff in the 2022 season.
A lot of success that year. It was definitely like still kind of felt like a freshman season, even though I was like in my third year already, but only like a second year eligibility. But had success really early on. Like my first game, I had like 220 yards in the first half against like Queens. And that was like a big start, but I felt that there's still a lot to improve on, but it kept on going well. I was leading the country and like I was probably like third or fourth in passing yards throughout like the first 4 games or something like that. It has like some ups and downs throughout the season, but it was showing that like I could be a serious starter at youth sports level.
After a strong campaign, which included a playoff berth, Philip looked to continue his success on the field. What he didn't know yet was the chance of a lifetime was about to be presented to him academically.
So went to the 2023 training camp, had a great training camp. That off season though, I got a job that doesn't come around for undergraduate students very often. It was like got a legal internship through the Avenue internship program for Black undergraduate students that are interested in the law. Ended up like working full time, almost like I was working like 80 hours a week because I was bartending too. And then between like trainings as well, like I was training before work, like 7 a.m., get on the field, then drive down to work, drive down Spadina, park my car, walk over to the office on like Bay and Queen Street, and then work all day and some like often like late hours too. Like nothing crazy, but I was trying to learn and like absorb as much as I could. Leave there, go to training for 5:30 to 6. Around that time, get back to like on campus, just like a couple blocks north. Bartending after that some nights, and about like 2-3 times during the week. So I kind of overstretched myself.
Philip wasn't able to build off his success and lost his starting position that year. Going into that offseason, Philip made the call to stop trying to throw touchdowns and instead prevent them, moving back to defense, playing a position he'd never played before, defensive back.
Thought it'd be best for myself to transition because I always knew that I could play defense at the youth sports level, but having 5 years off of playing it, I was really green. Like I felt that there was even certain things about my instincts defensively that were better in high school that I had to relearn, and then certain things that I was much better at, like understanding the Canadian football game, understanding what offenses are trying to do that would really help me excel at the same time. So there was that dualism of like being fresh, but also being former like starting youth sports quarterback. And then I got blessed with like an amazing like defensive back coach, Joaquin Bradley. So there's just a lot of practices where I was able to get the opportunity to work on becoming defensive back.
Many around Philip were surprised at this revelation, including one of his former high school coaches, who Philip continues to train with in the offseason, Darnell Sikorsky.
Definitely surprised me, because you don't see many people do that at that level, especially going from quarterback where you're kind of like the face of the team, right? And just the man of the program. And so for him to make that switch, I knew athletically he could do it. I knew it would take him a minute to get used to the position, just being, instead of, dropping back and throwing the football, literally having to read it from the opposite end, getting into a back pedal more and creating collisions and tackles like he hasn't done for the last few years. But he got his feet underneath him pretty quickly, and yeah, he had a ton of success. So
Sikorsky says, after years of training to play quarterback, Philip is still in the process of tweaking his training regimen to best fit his new position.
The biggest thing is he needs to build his body, and then just the amount of velocity and output that he has to create when he's training is really, really important. The truth is with quarterbacks is a lot of it is rotation and arm strength, that they need arm care and rotational power that they need to create, but you're not really sprinting at full velocity. You're not really conditioning them at full velocity, right? So that component needs to change. So we've tweaked that for his training program. A lot of plyometrics over the summer, a lot of speed and agility training, and then building up his body to be able to withstand the collisions that he would have on defense. It obviously went really, really well for him, but yeah, we had to tweak the program a little bit more and make things a little bit more intense and just train the whole body.
Philip says the training program, live reps, and his coaching staff have all helped him immensely, but knows there's still lots of work to be done when refining his craft.
Main thing that I need to work on is being comfortable on my pedal, understanding what receivers are trying to do in the route, because my perspective on the game is so different when you're at quarterback. You're watching these things happen in front of you. You're watching like how the dynamics of like the way that you narrow down in your process of elimination, and you can see all these things, and everybody's heads are turned away from you. But now, like as a defensive back, you're one of the chess pieces in that scheme. So you're seeing it from that different perspective. And I think that the biggest thing, especially in Canadian football, is just like understanding what receivers are trying to do at your region of the field. So like playing boundary half, like understanding what a slot is trying to do to me, what's coming back, what's leaving, how am I gonna play against certain things in the cover four compared to like how we're gonna do it in man. Just different skills I think that I need to learn that a lot of other people have had 4 or 5 years to progress.
Sikorsky knows Philip has the work ethic in order to catch up, something he's had from a young age.
When you see kids growing up like 10, 11, 12 years old, there's some fun to the game and stuff like that, but he also took it very seriously as well. We would see him after practices actually run the track around the field. So he'd go for 25, 30 minutes, try to run his 4 to 5 kilometers. And then, and that was just all after practice for his own self, for his own conditioning that he did on his own. And then as he grew up, he saw that work ethic and that passion for the game continue. And that's why he has the success that he has today. I'm glad for him, and just that all of this hard work that he's put in is paying off like it is. He's obviously a great athlete. He wouldn't be selected to the CFL Combine if he wasn't. The fact that he has the work ethic, the character, the passion, and how driven he is, and like he's also going to go into law school. Like he's the complete package as a person and as a player. And when you see him now come back, and now that he's gone for a few years, he's matured, right? Just mentally, and just like you can see that he's now a man who's thinking things on a different level. Like he's thinking about his future. He's thinking about, the next step, but also just whenever he's in here or whenever I do see him, he gives full effort in whatever he's doing and wants to be the best. So, I'm just super proud of him. And I think whatever he ends up doing, whether it is in the CFL, which I think is in his future, or going to law school, he's going to have a successful career.
Philip says he sees the law and the CFL in his future.
I think that it's weird how like the childhood dream is become like the transition to the lifelong dream. There's obviously like growing up BC plays, watching like great BC Lions teams, and then actually having the best chance to get coached by a lot of them growing up. It's just to have like a long CFL career. I'd love to just like make a team, get on the roster, and make it through training camp. I've been also like very fortunate to have had like a lot of like advice from Chris Osikusi and seeing how he's balanced his journey between the law and football. And I think that my main goal is to just play football as long as I can. And now that I've like received like some admissions offers from law schools now, that I could always come back to that and I kind of like prove that I can get offered and get accepted into a school, and that like that will always be there for me. And my mom's been a legal assistant for 40 plus years, and I know plenty of lawyers that started their careers in the law a lot later in life, like dental hygienists that started and like 911 e-com workers, like a bunch of people that come from all walks of life that started when they're in their 30s and 40s. So I know there's no shame in that too. So I would just love to play football as long as possible. It makes me extremely happy to just like playing. There's nothing else like playing football. Again, playing one of the best games in the world, honestly, and one with like the most contact, the most on the line, the most teamwork that you can ever imagine, and like honestly the most bliss when you win. So I would love that. Yeah.